It is just about 8:40 on your Friday. So Travis Casper, we've been talking about him all morning long here on Good Day Columbus. He's an avid outdoorsman. He's a world traveler, and now he's a survivor. He recently spent 19 hours in the waters of Lake Erie. Travis was on a trip from Marblehead, Ohio to Middle Island, Canada. He was supposed to finish by the end of the day, but instead he went on an adventure of survival, and one he will never forget. He's sharing that story with us this morning. So thank you so much for being here, Travis.
Oh, thank you.
What exactly happened? You went out for a typical day, right? This is something you do often.
Well,
and then
I just had the kayak for a week, so I never kayaked before a week prior to this.
So what made you think you could do such a long trip like that?
Well, I had some training before, but also when I picked up the kayak, I took it to a river to the ocean. So I'd already been in the ocean in 6-foot swells before.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't realize it would get that bad. But previously in the day, I went about 7 hours through a couple thunderstorms up to Canada and on the way back. And it wasn't until like a couple miles from shore, it was starting to get dark. I wanted to make it back to shore that the kayak flipped.
Okay, so after the kayak flipped, what happened next?
Okay, so that was 9 o'clock on Sunday. And I was thinking it was just a couple hours. I tried to mount the kayak a couple times. And then after that, I decided to just try to swim the last couple miles for shore with my kayak. My kayak, with everything on it, I had a lot of electronic gear as well as about $3,500 worth of equipment. I was trying to get everything back. And for half the night, I was swimming towards Marblehead. Towards the other half of the night, I was swimming towards Cedar Point, just kind of muscling and directing the kayak. And then it wasn't until 4 o'clock on Monday, 19 hours later, that I saw a boat. And I was kind of worried that the wind was going to keep on pushing me out. I was hoping that I'd make it to shore within a couple hours, and it was kind of surprising myself. But the kayak with everything in it was weighing about 100 pounds. With the water in it, that's about 5 cubic feet of water, and that's about another 300 pounds. So everything in it, and with the water, is about 400 pounds. I was trying to move around during those 19 hours.
So how did you survive? How did you survive this? I think people hear this story, and 19 hours. What were the conditions like? Was it you couldn't sleep, obviously, right? I mean, what was it like? Take us to those moments.
Well, I was really committed to staying up during that time period. I mean, I told myself I'm going to be up. I'm going to be constantly moving.
Were you cold?
I wasn't super cold. The water was 72 degrees, which might be considered somewhat comfortable to some people. And previously in the day, I put on a really thin wetsuit, so it was possible that it might have even raised my temperature up to another 10 degrees to 80 degrees. But so I constantly was saying I was going to move. I've done ultra marathons and ultra endurance events, which last about 24 hours, where you're constantly moving, constantly walking, constantly running.
So you have that mental and physical strength already to get through something like that. But this is something altogether different. So at what point did you think to yourself, did you ever think, I guess is the question, that you weren't going to make it?
I was always thinking I was going to make it. I was just always thinking I couldn't believe that I was lasting so long. And I was starting to get just more concerned while I was passing Cedar Point. I know Cedar Point stuck out a little bit. I was concerned either the winds would shift and it'd be much harder to make it to shore, or it'd be just constantly being pushed east and just not hit the shore at the time period. So I wasn't super scared. I had some food on board the kayak. So
quickly, how did you get? Who rescued you? How did you finally get?
So
to shore?
I was going towards shore, and I was told it was like a mile or less than a mile from shore. I waved down a boat at that time period. I was pulled, or I was throwing something, and I was trying to get on. With the kayak and everything, I mean, pulling the extra 400 pounds, they're kind of concerned that I wasn't getting on the kayak as quickly as they thought that I could.
But they got you.
Yeah, and then I was on there, and then I started shivering right away.
Right.
I was never shivering when I was in the water, but it was more just my pores opening up, and the blood pressure changes. There's just so many factors, and I was kind of adjusting at that time period.
So my final question for you is, will you kayak again?
Yeah, I'm excited about kayaking at some point. So looking forward to getting a new kayak at some point.
I mean, you're going to need one next time. Well, let us know how this next trip goes. I'm sure that the same thing won't happen again. You sure are an adventurer. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks,
We'll
Carolyn.
be right back.